Okay. Wow, we are just like about, I think, 10 seconds early. Hello, welcome to Facebook Live at the Giving Garden. I'm Ellena, and I'm the manager of the Giving Garden, and we're here with Jules, our
Hello.
TerraCore member extraordinaire.
And cameraman.
Yeah. And so, we're here in the Giving Garden, which is kind of a different scene these days. Well, actually, it does sort of still feel like it's summer at this very moment because it's like 70 degrees, but it feels like it's 85.
Sun's really bright today.
Sun is really bright. It's very different to the frosty mornings we've had for the last like 4 or 5 days. So yeah, we're feeling the shifts of the weather, and our plants have also felt the shifts of the weather. We've had many plants that we've expected to die off with the frost have, transitioned, and we have a flatter. I feel like this time of year we just like get this flatter landscape because everything that was like all the ups and downs of the growing plants are now just like a little bit flatter. I think you can maybe even see Diego at Song Sparrow Farm cover cropping. Yes, with the earthway cedar, and we've also been doing cover cropping, and we'll continue to do more to hold the soil and nourish it and protect it, and also create a living matter to hold the soil so that we can photosynthesize and keep trapping carbon in the soil. So as I said, I'm Ellena. We're in the Giving Garden. We grow thousands of pounds of food. Thanks to Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, we're able to do this. We just reached over the 8,000 mark, I think, in our food, pounds of food donated. I know that's not the only way that we measure value of food, and we have like over 25 different crops and mushrooms and asparagus and different high value crops here that aren't necessarily the heaviest. So I have trouble with that metric sometimes. But it's always nice to know how many pounds we deliver. And yes, there's so much to say, and also here I wanted to just acknowledge first the land that we're standing on. This was Nipmuc and Natuk and Pecumtuck land. Different tribes lived here for thousands of years before colonization and the genocide of so many different tribes that still exist, but in many fewer numbers than previously. I just heard sort of like this number of like 20 million people that lived in lived in what is the U.S. That were native here for thousands of years before European colonization, which is just like, and how dramatically and drastically that number was reduced. So we're here. We're in the sweet potato patch, which looks a little bit like barren because we've been harvesting, and it had a black landscape fabric over it, which is good for heat because they're a heat-loving crop. Oh, do you want to say what family or?
Yeah, well, they're related, so they're not related to actual potatoes.
Right.
Even though we call them sweet potatoes because they grow in a similar way, they're actually related. Here, I can turn the camera on me. They're actually related to morning glories, which are they grow on vines. We can't see anything
they have
here.
A beautiful like
Purple flower. Yeah, so they look a lot like morning glory flowers, the sweet potato flowers themselves.
Yeah.
And we tried to take them off so that all the energy went into the sweet potatoes,
Right.
which you'll see was effective. It was quite successful.
What the effective part was for the soil is just like the amazing miracle of this soil and all of the microbiome that exists in it, and so many earthworms we did find when we were digging up the sweet potatoes, right?
Yeah, earthworms. We found toads.
Oh, we did. Yes, we found surprisingly huge.
Like massive toads.
Yeah. And we also did a lot of compost application and other kinds of and different like seaweed fertilizer.
So a combination of things helped the sweet potatoes grow.
Throughout the season.
Yeah. And we waited until the sweet potato vines died to harvest them, so that's how we knew they were prepared.
And they got like the maximum amount of growth.
Yeah. glories spread like crazy. Do sweet potatoes do that too? Yes, they do. If you'd been here like a few days earlier before we took them out, the vines were just like sprawled all across the field, and the actual plants you can see are like, there's only like one per row.
Yeah, there's one row in here. There were 2 rows in there.
Yeah.
But they basically cover
The whole area.
Entire area with their vine. Okay, yeah, let me show you this.
So this is one of our very large, very large sweet potatoes, probably 6-pound sweet potato or something like that.
Yeah, it's really a small baby. It's really amazing. Unfortunately, well, that one I think was a rip, but so we have had a lot of rodent damage, and a lot of little critters of all sorts have been eating them, but this one looks really awesome and not touched. But they tend to go for the ones on the end.
Yeah.
The
easy access.
Easy access. They definitely not. And they're probably a pretty amazing meal, I have to say.
Oh, it's a bit hard to hear. Sorry, I think it's the wind.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry about that. We'll speak up and talk slowly.
Yeah.
This is what happens here, like in the spring at the garden. The winds are so intense, and also it really feels like fall because the winds are sort of picking up.
Yeah. Spooky.
And well, what I wanted to say, we want to talk about like how when you harvest them, they're actually not sweet, and you have to wait a little bit for their starches to convert into sugars. So we will like kind of like that, I guess. We will cure them, and currently we're curing them in the greenhouse. We're going to cure them in the greenhouse.
Yeah, it's going to be in a hot, humid environment.
Yeah, really high relative humidity and hot for just like about a week to 3 weeks, and then the sweetness increases dramatically. And then well-stored sweet potatoes, we read, can last for over about a year if they're stored in proper conditions. Yeah, there we go. There's our sweet potato. Damn.
Look at it. But if they're not, though, they'll start growing eyes, right? Sort of like regular potatoes.
Yeah, slips. Well, I think that they sprout.
Yeah,
and then
they
the
grow
way that we
shoots.
plant, right? So good transition.
Just trying to segue here.
Yeah. So the sweet potato will grow slips throughout of. See, I don't really know where they grow from. I'm not. This isn't a crop that I'm the most familiar with.
Maybe like out of where. Yeah, I don't want to.
More about the fruit. Yeah, this is like a tuber. So anyway, they'll grow these little slips, like kind of sprouts, and then that's what you actually cut off and then replant. So that I could wait a moment.
Yeah, sorry. Wind.
So then you cut off the slip and you plant that the next year, and that's what you can. That's how you grow sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes.
And that's right. Segues really well because we wanted to talk a little bit about seed saving, because this is the final episode of Facebook Live for this season, and it just like felt appropriate to talk about seed saving. And some plants we don't save seed from because they're hybrids, so it means that they like. I won't necessarily go into that whole explanation now, but if you save the seed of a hybrid plant, it won't grow the next year true to its previous plant. You don't know exactly what you'll get of variety-wise.
Right. And plants can cross-pollinate with each other, like squash, cucumbers. They will, like, if they're sitting next to each other, peppers, they might sort of, cross-pollinate and then develop some kind of hybrid pepper.
Offspring will be
like a mix of a butternut squash and an acorn squash or something like that.
Yeah. So
which is kind of cool. Kind of cool, but not helpful for farmers.
Well, not helpful if you want to know exactly what you're planting and how much of it you will.
Right.
Yeah, well, actually, we're standing next to this really. This is one of my favorite flowers. I know most of this has died back because of the frost, but does anyone know what these seeds are? Of this flower? Oh, they're so pretty. They're like these little crescent shape. Yeah, this is calendula flowers, and they usually like fall. They'll fall. It's an annual plant, but it will fall and then set seed. And
They
then
spread really
they spread really easily, but we'll harvest some of them for seed, and you have to let them mature. So you have to let them mature.
Yeah, most seeds you do.
Yeah, do you want to talk about?
Yes. Yeah, I can talk about tomato seeds. Well, just generally, like most seeds you want to harvest after the actual fruit or the plant is like past eating. So with squash, like usually you wait until it's overripe, especially like cucumbers and zucchinis and like squash that you eat the seeds with it. You don't want to eat the type of seeds that are going to get in the ground. Those are like a lot harder, a lot tougher.
More durable because they have to then withstand the
Yeah.
the soil and the sun and
Yeah. So with those, you like you kind of leave them on the vine for a lot longer, and then eventually the seeds will be ready, but the fruit's kind of tough and old. And then with tomatoes, they actually, I don't know if you've ever like cut open a tomato seed and seen that they're like kind of gel encased. They're like really slippery. Oh, wind.
yeah. We need a little protection.
Yeah. But that actually has to break down for the seed to be able to take root to germinate. Oh, windy.
It's okay. It just means we have to move slower.
Yeah. But yeah, so one way to do that is to take the seeds out of a tomato and then like ferment it for a while in water, and it'll break down on its own, and smell kind of funky. But but yeah, and that's also why like if you leave a rotting tomato in the field by accident, you'll get a volunteer the next year because it like that rotting process, that fermentation, allowed it to break down, and dry out and become viable for seed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't save our tomato seeds.
No, because we grow hybrid tomatoes, because we grow tomatoes that have been bred for blight resistance, because we really want to make sure that we have like a substantial crop that doesn't get hit by blight.
Right.
And our crops still get hit by different things, but
At least calendula is used medicinally, right? Yes.
yes. Calendula is a really good skin topical. Yes, it's a very good plant for creams and salves and for like
Healing.
chapped skin and things like that. I'm gonna
Cool.
go get my other.
Got a few more seeds.
Okay, this is our last seed that I wanted to talk about. Do we know what this is? I can say it. So this is amaranth. Amaranthus. Many different species of amaranth. These are two ornamental varieties that a friend is growing, but they're also plants that are referred to as weeds, often like pigweed. That's in the amaranthus family. There's I don't know the amount of amaranths that exist, but there are a lot, especially cultivated for beauty and for different colors. And but I just wanted to tell a little story about. Well, first I can show you sort of just like the process, because it is like a really tiny seed that also is edible. I think even the cultivated kind. Yeah. And then, so a way of collecting this seed is that you like separate the seed from the chaff, and you let the rest of the plant. But they're that small. I don't know, could you get that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Little tiny guys.
Really tiny. And so, yeah, I want to tell you the story about the amaranth, and it is native to the Americas, and I'm not exactly sure if they even know where exactly, but in Mexico, and what is now Mexico, what is now like in South America, amaranth was a staple food crop for thousands of years. And Cortez, when he landed on Turtle Island in 1512 or something like that, he recognized this. This is a plant that its name and I don't remember the name of the language, but the language native to the many different people there, the Aztecs and the people who are often misrepresented as Aztecs and all the different native people of Mexico. The name for amaranth was the smallest giver of life, and it is because, as exemplified by how small the seed is, and how it basically sustained people with like giving 80% of the protein. It is like so nutritious of a plant. It also, people eat the young leaves and the stems. You can eat like so much of it. Maybe not the ornamental varieties are not bred for the seed, but the varieties that were bred for eating. And right, so Cortez and European colonizers recognized the importance of this plant and how like valuable it was in all different kinds of ritual and ceremony, and basically like forbid the growing of amaranth. Like forbid it, and also forbid anyone from having the seed or saving the seed. I think punishment included like chopping off hands of those who had amaranth seed, and just like the tragedy of that, of like the depth of how they really just like this war in the spiritual sense and war in the like material sense of this like food crop that sustained them in so many different ways, you know, economically or like nutritionally and spiritually. And I'll wait for the wind.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to cover it with like my head, but I don't have to.
I'm sure it's working to some degree.
It's doing something.
Yeah, and so, right, so it's incredibly nutritious. What else about it? Oh, it's really drought tolerant. It's like, it has a specific way of photosynthesizing that allows it to sustain itself in like extreme drought conditions. And it wasn't until the 1970s, I really think, based on my very superficial research, that that amaranth was able to like re-emerge as a viable food source and a plant that was worth talking about. I think that it was saved in people did manage to save it, a very small amount of it, and revitalize it, but not until the 1970s. And if you think like the 1500s, basically it was just like, it just is like part of the story of like oppression and genocide and just indigenous, just like the corruption of how settler colonialism contributed to like just harming a people, and how they worked with the land and had got nutrition from it and were sustained by it, and therefore then sustained the land too. So I really encourage you all to like read more about amaranth, and also, yeah, learn something about it. It's a really amazing plant with a really amazing story, and we can explore it here, and it grows here, and it grows wild. It grows like weeds. Like people don't like it in their gardens, you know. But I'm definitely. It also grows so fast. So I'm definitely saving amaranth seed this year, and I'm going to plant it next year. Mostly because I love how beautiful it looks, and it gets so tall and it grows so fast, and also to be able to eat it too. Yeah. So. And like what's really a miracle is that like within these tiniest seeds, like the smallest giver of life, like we can relearn these things that we have forgotten and that people have been like forced to forget over time. Yeah, so that's my little story about amaranth, and seed saving is just such a really fun, empowering thing, and then you get to save them, and then next year plant them, see what happens.
Yeah, it feels like things are coming out of thin, like you're generating things out of thin air. Yeah, it's like you have one tomato and then you can get, you know, hundreds of tomatoes.
In one amaranth plant, I think you can have like 200,000 seeds.
Yeah.
So like, what is that? You know, that's definitely like some kind of magic going on there.
Yeah.
You know, and all of that life that's sustained in that tiny little seed. So, yeah, it being the last Facebook Live of this season, just want to thank everyone who's watched different episodes this season, since we've been doing it since April.
Wow.
Yeah, since Earth Day.
Oh.
Yeah, that was our first one. I mean, we went through all the different processes, and also like had many different people with me, and really great to be here with Jules now and all the people who helped make it possible. Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, hope to share more videos with you all soon, and you know, we're going to be doing different things in the garden, and it will continue to change, and things are exciting in the winter, even if we're not planting anything. So we might get out here and be able to capture some.
We'll pop back up.
Yeah.
You'll see us around.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.